for all the CC's pizzas and shit had it. It was a racing game.
Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of High Top Sports. Today we are in the studio live with the man, the professor, Cody. What's going on, big dog? Happy Sunday. How we feeling? You looking like you forgot to apply sunscreen today.
Yeah,
Yeah?
I did.
You did? Okay. Thank you for your honesty.
Yeah. So when we get high top insurance, I'm gonna need definitely premium skincare insurance. I'm probably gonna have a little cancer.
Jeez, my knees, bro. Every time we go on this show, Cody's always trying to plug me. Either getting like subscription, healthcare, t-shirts, hoodies. Like, this guy's cost me a fortune. He's been on for like 2-3 months. I love it. Well, Cody, happy to have him here. We have a jam-packed show today. Obviously, Evan Engram signed his contract today just before the buzzer beater, which was tomorrow. So we're going to talk about that. Arron Rodgers pissed off the NFL. Shocker there. Not really, but it's a good one. It's for good reason, and I'm excited to talk about it. Alvin Kamara in some trouble, per usual. Amonte Brown. Little fun fact about Amon we're going to get into. And then I think that's all we got in store for you guys. Oh, Dougie P making some moves, which we'll talk about as well. But good to have you here. Michael Maples, let's go. Matthew Connor said, what's up, Duval? Travis, what's up, boys? And George, go Gators, beat Utah. Glad to see George back in his natural habitat. I missed the go beat Utah comments. But good to have all of you guys here. Let's have a great show. Make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and let's dive right into it. So first order of business, some of you may have heard this already. I'm going to go on a rant. I'm starting to show off hot and spicy, boys and girls. That's just is what it is, straight to you, coming at you hot and spicy. This young man, his name is I Am Tungi, I believe. He won American Idol not too long ago, and I think like 2 or 3 months ago. And so they had him obviously go and sing the national anthem for the All-Star game in Seattle. Well, when he went out there, he forgot to take off his hat, and people were very upset, as they should be. It's disrespectful. You should take your hat off, etc. He has since then apologized. He said his uncle reminded him, saying, hey, make sure you take it off before you walk out there. Walked out there, forgot to, in the heat of the moment, sang the song. I'm not upset at the fact that he forgot to take it off. It's frustrating, right? But he apologized for it. You live and forget, move on. People are frustrated and shocked that this happened. There is an issue here. The reason this would be second nature to somebody. This is a young man, he's like 19 years old. The reason why it's not second nature is because of the direction we're headed. And I don't usually get political on this, but when it comes to my country, my flag, I get fired up about this. And this doesn't tell us that, hey, we've got an issue going on with where our youngins at with this culture and with how they feel about America is. This tells everything. Because I know when I'm at home and I take it off, I'm at my house and I stand up there to national anthem. It is embedded in me. It's second nature. It's like tying your shoe. You shouldn't have to have your uncle remind you to take your hat off. You should know when that music starts, you take it off. It's the first action that you do. You place it on your heart or behind your back, whichever you prefer, right? And then you show respect. So everyone's getting upset at him. We need to take a look at ourselves. There's a reason this is happening. And again, he needs to hold accountability. I'm not trying to say like, hey, it's okay. Obviously, he needs to take accountability, which he has. But the issue isn't this. It's bigger than that. And that's what this showed. That's what it showed me, is that there's a disconnect with the culture and us not, being appreciative. And we've been going down this path for a little bit now. And this is a small, minute little thing. But when I heard about it, I thought back to myself and what I do and what my friends do. We'll be sitting at home watching the Super Bowl, UCF, or a UFC fight. Whatever happens, we're standing up. We're rocking and rolling, right? Our friends, our girls will usually laugh at us. Like, stand your ass up. This is respect. Show some love for your country. This is what it's supposed to be like. So, look, I know we're kind of starting to show off spicy, but I saw this and I was like, look, everyone's trying to roast this young man. He apologized. It is what it is. It's a mistake. It happens. Get over it, guys. And all these articles saying he was forced to apologize. He should be held accountable. Like, hey, are you trying to make a stand by leaving your hat on? No, I didn't mean to. Okay, cool. No big deal. Move on. But again, if he forgot, there's an underlying issue there. Cody, do you want to say anything or?
Yeah, man. It's I get it. He's young, and it's a big. He's probably nervous, and it's a big spotlight, and he had a lapse of judgment about it, and it is frustrating. I've unfortunately buried a lot of Marines, and the sacrifice that they made for this country, and even the ones that I had to shuttle to Wounded Warrior program up in Maryland, the amount of sacrifice that they make, it just should never happen. It shouldn't happen ever. Um, it it's unacceptable. You have a lot of people there, and for him just to just totally space it, I think you're right on the right track, Shelton. I think we have a severe problem in this country. I don't even know if they do the Pledge of Allegiance in most schools anymore. I know they
Yeah, I
do
don't
in
think
the Podunk school.
that frustrates me too.
That
And
my
again, I'm
kids
not trying
go
to get
to.
too political, and I know I kind of opened the can of worms, so I'm kind of being hypocritical here. But again, when it comes to the flag and just being patriotic, I get kind of fired up. Yes, purely missionary. Cody is a veteran, so show him some love for his for his service. But yeah, look, it's frustrating, and the national anthem again. It's a big moment. Every time I go to a game, when I would do triathlons, they would always do the national anthem, and you want to talk about just getting fired the fuck up. Dude, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. It's just such an iconic moment before any big event. When we shoot, to hear this out, I shoot fireworks off for New Year's Eve and 4th of July. We have been doing a spectacular, Ricky and I, for the last 6 years. It's a big deal. For the last 6 years, it has gotten bigger and bigger each year. The speaker has gotten bigger and bigger each year. Before we shoot off fireworks, I have everybody that's watching stand up, and I play the national anthem. And usually there's a flag on somebody's house, and we look towards that flag and show respect. Every single time. That's how much, again, there's love for this. And it's something that should be appreciated and respected, and understand like how important that moment is to every game. Again, that's why obviously a lot of people stopped watching the NFL during all that stuff that happened, because of the disrespect that was happening during that. And again, that's why there's a lot of backlash here, because are we doing this again, right? Is this another version of that? Obviously it wasn't. He apologized. But yeah, enough about that. We'll get into some football talk, but I just fired me up, man. We've got to start turning a leaf over. This is the greatest country in the world. I'll argue with anybody till I'm blue in the face about it. If you don't like it, I'll catch you later. Catch you on the flippity flop. Fireworks are not illegal here in Florida, Bubba. All right, moving on. Next up, we have Mr. Alvin Kamara hitting a suspension, possibly. Cody's been dialed in. He kind of patted himself on the back early, but I have a hurt shoulder on his credibility of kind of seeing the future here with Alvin. So I'll pass it over to you, Code, to take credit for your good producing skills.
Thanks, bud. All right, so essentially what happened was the Vegas incident where he beat up some dude, and so he's going to have to pay. So he pled no contest, which is guilty but not admitting guilt in the law's eyes, essentially. So he has to pay restitution and past due medical bills for the guy. He got a $500 fine and 30 hours community service. Kind of weak, but it is what it is. But the biggest thing is going to happen here is the NFL. Now that it's been ruled and he pled no contest, the NFL is going to come in and give him a 4, 6 to 8 game suspension. Now, that's pretty big, because this is probably going to be his last year with the Saints, and it's not good to have a violation on your record. He did violate the NFL Code of Conduct policy. That's what they're going to hit him on. So it's usually those are 6 to 8 games. So that's big, because he needs all the good tape he can get going into a make it year for a deal. He's got zero guaranteed money left on his contract. They're not going to cut him yet because the cap hit would be too big on dead money. But June 1st of next year, it's only a $4 million cap hit. They'll cut him then. Also, the rookie came out a couple weeks ago. We talked about and essentially said that I'm watching Alvin Kamara tape, and I'm gonna do everything that he does. So the writing's on the wall. What do you think about that? One
Yeah,
one of one of the league's great running backs.
we also talked about too, just the life of running backs in the NFL isn't what it used to be. You see all the big running backs that are on the shelf currently up to be bought, and they're just sitting there waiting to be picked up and played with, but nobody wants to play with them anymore because they're too expensive and a liability. And he's just going to go right into that shelf of running backs. The Leonard Fournette, Dalvin Cook's going to get picked up. Ezekiel Elliott's out there. Derrick Henry's close. He's sniffing for it. I think he's got a long more way to go. But again, how their contracts are structured, they're trying to get that big deal. But by the time it's time to get a big deal, they're also on their downfall because running back's livelihood isn't that fantastic. I think Alvin's got a lot of gas left in the tank. I think just because I feel like he's dealt with issues. Every year it's something, right? I think I drafted him 2 years ago or last year, and he was a complete bust. I think he played like 6 games, and they had like kind of 2 good seasons, but he hasn't really, I feel like burned himself out. I feel like that Saints team really kind of sucked it up there with Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. I mean, you had a squad and an opportunity to really take over that division, and both your superstars found some kind of way to either get in trouble or hurt or however you have it. But we'll see. Definitely going to get suspended. And look, I think this will be, could we see him come back? I don't know. I know he got paid pretty well, I think, the first time. So this could be the beginning to the end of Alvin Kamara, honestly.
Yeah, and I don't know if he gets another contract with this issue, because now you have guys in free agency that are going to be in free agency that's never gotten in trouble before either. This is the second time he's gotten in trouble, I believe.
Yeah. No, he's a liability, right? Not just from his age, but just his personal history of getting into trouble. So this, like I said, it could be the beginning of the end of seeing him out on his way out. Somehow Kamara will end up leaving the Saints and in a better situation with the Chiefs, some contender. Look, that could happen. And that's usually what happened. I mean, look, Belichick and Tom made a career on that. And the Patriots, they made a career off getting head cases, making them work for a year or two, getting that last little squeeze out of the orange, right? And then good riddance for cheap or for a pretty good value. But yeah, you're spot on with that one. All right, good stuff there. Moving on. Anthony Richardson, he's been off the headlines for a little bit, but the Colts, they got to keep moving. And I could be eating my words here. I'm shocked, but I could be eating my words. Cody?
Yeah, so essentially it came out during an interview, old Jim Irsay. I knew this was going to happen when he got drafted. I think we talked about during the draft spectacular that this was going to happen. So the head coach essentially said that, it's nobody has the starting job. We're gonna play both Garner and AR during preseason, and the best one that gets this team to win, the best chances to win, we're gonna essentially go with that hot hand. Okay, yeah. Till Jim Irsay just said this to the media, and now it's out, and now the head coach, brand new head coach at that, has no power. This is an owner stepping. This is Jerry Jones-esque. This is an owner overstepping his boundaries. Go buy a guitar or something, or a piano like you usually do, and stay out of the team deal.
Yeah, look, I'm going to eat my words because and people were coming after me for this. I said it's going to be Minshew's job. He's going to be walking onto the field week 1, and Anthony's be kind of checking it out, and it's going to be Minshew's to lose. But based on these comments, I think that was probably the noise buzzing around camp that it was going to be up for grabs. And he's like, no, we didn't go and drop the hammer on this first round draft pick for him to sit by Minshew. We went and got Minshew for depth and for coverage. What Minshew's been for the last two teams he's been on, that's what he's here for. And that's probably how the conversation went, if I had to guess, in some shape or form. And look, like you said, new head coach, his first year being a head coach. What are you going to say? You got really nothing to come on. You just lost the Super Bowl. I mean, you made it to the Super Bowl, but you just lost it. So, hey, look, he did well with Jalen Hurts, so we'll see. I'm excited for Anthony. Look, my reasoning for not thinking he's going to start is not because I don't want him to start. I want him to be successful. I think for his success, it'd be best if he didn't start right away. But look, you got a guy sitting at the top, kind of backseat driving, saying, nope, here's what I want. I put a lot of money into this kid. I want him to get as many reps as he possibly can. Look, he has a point for the fact that we talked about it too. Only playing barely 12 games in college football. He doesn't have much time. So he's in a different scenario where he needs the reps. I don't think practice reps are going to be enough. He doesn't have the time, right? He probably needs 2 to 3 years of sitting. Maybe not that much. I could be over-exaggerating a little bit. But honestly, a full season sitting behind him could do him some favors. And then next year, he would be kind of fighting for it. That's what I think he would be best suited, just to kind of really understand the process. Now, we don't know how much work how much he's really, gaining here. But you have to remember, he played 1 full season of college football. There's a lot, and we talked about this before. We're kind of repeating ourselves, but it's getting brought back up again. There's a lot of things that you learn just by going through the motions, by playing games, that you learn about yourself, that you learn about the game, that film, practice, and talking to somebody just does not teach you. And so outside of his athletic ability and his ability to throw the ball 800 yards, it's always going to be up here. That's always been the question mark, and only time gives you that. And look, maybe Jim's right. Like, look, we got to just throw him into the fire, because if not, he's just going to waste away on the bench. Because think about it, by the time he's actually ready based on those numbers there, you're looking at 2 or 3 more years. That's the case.
But my question is, why do you go out and pay these people? I mean, Jim goes out and gets a GM and a head coach because he doesn't know anything about football. He really doesn't. I mean, the guy doesn't know a lot about football. He's kind of a weirdo musician. He's not like Jerry Jones, which is very he's kind of, very instrumental in the team and draft picks and stuff like that.
More
I know he's laid off. Yeah, I know he's laid off a little bit recently. He's letting his sons run it, which is fine or whatever. But what doesn't it show on a brand new head coach that you don't trust him if you just go out and trump him like this?
I mean, a little bit. Or again, he made decisions. It's just you're trying to take control of your organization. I don't know. I mean, he hired the guy. So maybe he hired the guy with the thought process of, hey, I'm going to control the situation a little bit. But yeah, there could be a pushback of head coach like, hey, do you not trust? You hired me to do this job, and now you're doing the job for me. So, but look, we don't know. Maybe he just came out. Maybe he's being the bad guy, right? Maybe he's stepping ahead of it and being, the bad cop, or the new head coach is able to play, hey, this mom said yes. I guess, all right, nothing I can do about it. We don't know. We don't know the ins and outs of it. But it is interesting. Look, kudos to AR. Hopefully he does really well. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. I think it's going to be good for the Jags for AR to start the division. I mean, not wishing any ill will on AR. I just think it's going to be a slow start for them. And with him and CJ Stroud at Texans, all you got left is the Titans, who just signed DeAndre Hopkins. So they're still kind of limping along. The Titans are, with Levis and company over there, but we'll see. Hopefully Levis gets a starting job. Then all will be good for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So we'll see. Yeah, Jim showed his true football IQ by hiring Jeff Saturday during the same season as the head coach. That was
Exactly.
bold. And I feel bad. I mean, it's Jeff for taking that, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and see what I can do.
Experience.
Yeah, you take a guy literally off the mic to put him up in the head coach job, and it's like, dude, I get it. You played football for a long time, but there's levels to it, man. And I think that kind of speaks to the knowledge of that position and what it takes to do that job. Is definitely not there. Look, this isn't a shot towards Jim. So the top guys don't have to know everything. Sometimes it's knowing the right people and knowing who to hire, and that's a little bit on him, is knowing who to hire. But all in all, good stuff there. Next up, we have Coach Doug. This is Cody here getting fired up about this, boys and girls. So I don't want to take any heat from this. But before we go into Coach Doug signs his son as tight end, let's talk about Evan Engram really quick, who they just signed before the deadline. Locking in Evan Engram was absolutely huge. They franchise tagged him, obviously, earlier this year so they could get some more time to lock in a long-term deal. What were the deets in the long-term deal, Cody, you got in front of you? 4 years?
It was, let me see real fast. I can look it up.
I thought you had it. Sorry.
I did, and I closed that tab.
Yeah.
It is contract.
I know a lot of it was guaranteed from what we were talking about. It's a healthy paycheck.
26 million guaranteed. Oh, okay. So it's essentially what it is a 3-year, $41.25 million contract. Don't worry about the $41 million contract. What you really are looking for is the next word I'm about to say is 24 million guaranteed. Okay. The other money's hoopla. It's monopoly money. He probably won't make it. The 24 million guaranteed. That's a big deal. But I see why they did a 3-year. Because remember they have to sign Trevor Lawrence at the end of his contract. They'll have a 5th-year option they can use on him, which I'm sure they will because it'll be cheaper than signing him to a big giant deal. But the biggest thing here is 24 million guaranteed for, he was rated by PFF the number 4 tight end in the league. So it's he made his money.
Look, I think what's important to note here is for the Jacksonville Jaguars, that position's been a carousel for quite some time now, or a revolving door, not a carousel, revolving door for quite some time. And now they don't have to worry about it, hopefully, for the next 3 years, especially with Brenton Strange from Penn State, I believe, as well on the other side. Mm-hmm. You've got some health there. You've got some depth there, which is fantastic, especially with the quarterback situations you have with Trevor Lawrence. It's great to add what I continue to call a pacifier. Now, I went and did some history, some research. If you go back and look at the last 10 Super Bowl champions, you could say over 50% of them have had a big component, i.e. a big tight end name. Travis Kelce, Gronk was part of it. I can't think of the other names. I think Ertz was part of one of those teams. That they didn't win, but they were at least there. So now, again, I know a tight end isn't everything, but even the San Francisco 49ers, who have been there for the last few years, George Kittle. So it's the same consistency of having, that one big spot. And look, we've talked about Florida Gators. We need a big tight end. Look what the Georgia Bulldogs have been able to do with their tight ends. Look what Utah's been able to do with their tight ends. It's a very important spot, and it's almost like a cheat code nowadays, just because, look, trying to guard those guys. And the tight end position is evolving to just, almost like a morph between Megatron and Tony Gonzalez / Jimmy Graham, where they're not too big where they're dorky and can't do anything, but they also have athletic ability, right? So they're really becoming a monster threat. So I love it. I love the sign, and I love that we're able to lock it in and not have to worry about it anymore either, not have to think about it. And now they've got a good, solid tight end that could be, part of the future moving forward, on top of, drafting Brenton Strange. So good stuff there.
Yeah, for sure. It's good for him to make his money. So
yeah. Now this is where you get frustrated, because Coach Dougie P went and signed his son to the team, who also happens to be a tight end. You're not happy about it, Professor.
Oh no. Nepotism. Boy, I tell you, there's nothing that just irritates me more. I mean, if he was, this is where I'm okay with it. If there's nobody else better than him that they could sign on the free agent market, but he was ranked like 10th best tight end at the USFL. And, he's going to make a little bit of money.
He had him ranked 18th in the USFL with 325 yards and only had one season that was productive at ULM. His junior season, he got 500-plus yards in 9, but never replicated that again.
Yep. So it's just, you're telling me there's nobody else that you can sign that could give you that or a little bit more? It's just frustrating. When does daddy ball stop? You know what I mean?
Look, it's always going to exist. I don't know where the level that he signed him in, bring him for the practice squad. I don't know the full ins and outs of it, but that's just part of business. I know your frustration. I know people are frustrated about it, but if the kid comes in and works really hard and grinds, then so be it. And if he doesn't, he gets cut, right? I think you got to keep it even keel, but brings him in on a cheap contract. Maybe he can show him a thing or two. I respect Dougie P. If somebody like an Urban Meyer did this, I feel like that was kind of like a Tebow move. It didn't work. It was just like, this is my squad. I'm going to do what I want. That doesn't feel like this. This feels like, hey, look, my son's making some moves. I think he's underrated. Obviously, I'm going to make a few more pulls than I would for somebody else because he is my son. But I really think he has an opportunity to show here, and I want to give him that chance. That's how I think Dougie P went about it. So I'm not against it because of who Doug Peterson is. I think he's shown to be one of an upstanding guy, and we don't have to question whether or not it's just trying to help his son out. I think, look, is he giving him a nod more than he probably, if it was not his son, would he give the same level person a nod? Probably not. But look, that's That's how this world works. You got to know somebody who knows somebody, and thankfully, you know the coach. He's your daddy. So I'm not against it. I think, look, we'll have to see how it plays out, but right now, I don't hate it. Sorry.
Yeah, I had to stick up for him, didn't you?
I got to. Look, if it was anybody else, or if it was year one, I'd be a little concerned. Kind of how Urban did with T-Bob. I'd be like, that's a little weird. I wouldn't do that day one. I think with what he did last year and what he's been able to do in the offseason and the respect the team has for him, you've seen it in the Hunt videos that they produce. I think he has the ability to kind of get away with a thing or two.
For sure.
All right. Good.
Before we hop on this, can we talk about the Hopkins deal real fast?
You sure can. Sure show.
All right. So obviously, Hopkins was signed by the Titans. So the 5-star recruiting treatment worked.
Yeah. I was thinking that, like the chauffeur around the who was the country singer tickets. It all was it Chris
Tim McGraw.
Tim McGraw. That's right. Tim McGraw tickets seem to have worked, and maybe the Titans cracked the code of the 5-star recruiting method, the red carpet. Yeah, the official visit. Yeah,
you heard it here first.
Yeah,
we were all did talk about it.
We did. We were all over about 3 weeks ago. It looked like a lock. So I love it. Good call. Moving on. So this is a fun one. I love this one. Cody brought this up to, the producer room, and I go, hey, I got to take this one here. Amonte Brown, wide receiver of the Detroit Lions, keeps a notebook of the 16 wide receivers picked before him. On that list, you've got Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Kadarius Toney, Rashad Bateman, Elijah Moore, Dwayne Estridge, Desperate Patrick, and a few other names, Josh Palmer, that don't really matter. What this reminded me of, though, and I had to inform Cody about this, is Arian Foster. Arian Foster was a running back for the Texans, and he wore the number 23. With the number 23 because that's how many running backs are drafted before him. So every time you put that jersey on, reminding him, hey, everybody thought that 23 running backs are better than you. And we all know what Arian Foster was. He was an absolute dog. He was a killer. That man ran the NFL for a little bit. Kind of going back to the running back talk, he was the man for a while. And Amonte Brown is quietly getting it done. Right now, he is tied with Justin Jefferson and Michael Thomas for the most catches in their first 2 seasons with 196 catches. And mind you, he's had what's his face from what's his number? Jared Goff throwing to him. Unlike Drew Brees and Kirk Cousins. So that's hell of impressive of what he's been able to do, especially at the Lions organization that's been a dumpster fire for quite some time. So kudos to Amonte Brown. I had him on my team last year. He was an absolute treat for fantasy football and a PPR magnet. And I expect him to do big things this year. I expect that team to do big things this year too. So little fantasy football insight for you guys. I think Amon's going to be a probably high-rated wide receiver that you should go after pretty quickly.
Yeah, for sure. It's super cool. When I found this, I was like, I don't know if I really like it. And then I started doing a little more research in it, and I love it. And for him to be producing like he's producing with Justin Jefferson and Michael Thomas, that's big time on a bad organization. And I think probably Jamar Chase and Waddle are the only 2 that are on par with him, right?
From that draft class, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Kadarius Toney got a ring. Devontae Smith's up there for production, too. I mean, those are number 5, 6, 10, and 20. Those are all first-round draft picks. But, yeah, look, I think you're right. I think, yes, definitely over...
feels a little gadgety.
Yeah, definitely over Toney for production. Devontae Smith, I mean, look, I think you can put him over Devontae Smith, to be honest with you. I think Devontae's been overshadowed by Brown over there in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. Jalen Waddle, I mean, I'd take him over Jalen Waddle. I think Waddle's had some good one, but he's been a little overshadowed by Tyreek. I think Jamar Chase is really, shown as to be a number 1 guy, but Amonte Brown is the number 1 guy without a shadow of a doubt in Detroit, and probably kept him in a lot of games. Again, it's because of the market that he's in. He doesn't get talked about or bragged about as much, but for the fact that the numbers don't lie, right? Facts don't care about feelings.
Yep. Oh my God, will you stop that?
All right, boys and girls,
yeah,
cool 50
note.
people. Go
ahead. Cool note too. Guess who? I don't know if you saw it in the thing I sent you, but essentially, Joey Porter said the same thing to JPJ. Like, you're a first round pick.
Yeah.
The league messed up, and essentially said it's time to put the work in, and it's time to show every single team in the NFL that they messed up. Not name the Steelers because
Yeah.
he went second. He went high second round.
I love these stories.
And when you got a dog like that, man, just give him more ammunition.
I was listening to an interview today or a podcast today with Bear Grylls. He's on Impulsive with Logan Paul. And it gave me goosebumps listening to it because it's something you and I talk about all the time. His motto was never give up. And he's like, I know it sounds cheesy, but just give me a second, right? Because they asked him was, if you were to go survive alone, what 5 essential tools would you bring? And he's like, yeah, but it's probably just a hack axe. He's like, can start fires, cut trees, do all this thing. And he's like, yeah, that's pretty much all I need. And he goes, oh, and never give up, a mentality. He's like, that's what most people miss out on. He's like, you can have the most athletic, you have the most talented, but where people start to separate themselves is not giving up. He's like, I love the underdog, right? Who the small guy who has to work for it, who gets picked last all the time but continues to show up. And that's kind of like this situation here. You just never give up, and eventually you'll get through. And a good point he even said too. He's like, look, the ones that get picked last when they're younger and have to grind and get through this and never give up. He's like, that's a muscle that they're building. And so when they hit adult life, they're ready to rock and roll. That's a muscle they'll have for the rest of their life. And I think that's something that I've been blessed with. I think the last 20 years, you don't realize that as it's happening to you, that you feel like you're just getting beat up. But no, it's just a muscle that you're training. And without those failures, I don't think we'd be here to this point because I've been able to grow that muscle and go through it. So a little soapboxy there, but that's kind of this mentality here, and to Joey Porter Jr. as well. Alrighty, boys. Make sure you guys show some love, drop a like, and subscribe. Moving on, this is probably the most exciting thing that I'm ready to talk about today. It's kind of a 2-for-1-er, right? First order of business is Arron Rodgers is pissed. Shocker, I know, but it's because the Hard Knocks found a home, and it's with the New York Jets. And Rodgers came out and said, yeah, they practically forced it down our throats. And we've talked about this.
I think I said that.
I
said that.
Said what?
That Goodell was going to call and say, hey, and somebody called me out in a comment and said, you don't know what you're talking about. Boy, I love when fucking daddy's right.
Oh, shit. You got Cody fired up. The bush lights flowing. He fucking... Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I love it.
Everything that we have talked about in the past, this is episode number 9. In the past 9 weeks have come to fruition. We have the best NFL show out there. I mean, if you're not locked into it, what are you doing?
Cody hasn't missed. Cody hasn't missed. Cody has not missed. I can't.
A ringer.
We've hit it on the head with DeAndre. We've hit it on the head with Alvin Kamara. We've hit it on the head with Arron Rodgers. We're coming full circle. And we've hit on the head with Hard Knocks as well, just kind of in general. What else have we hit it on? I think we got to start keeping receipts. You need the receipt board behind you.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so he said they forced it down our throats. And this is what we talked about for the last 2 weeks of like, look, because the Lions denied it. And I go, yeah, I would too. And I think I remember talking about it because I was like, yeah, if I'm Rodgers, I wouldn't want it either. I'm trying to get established. I don't want all this hoopla going on. Same thing with the Jets. They're trying to get into emotion. Got somewhat of a new head coach there trying to establish himself. And I would love to know all what it takes to film that because you're taking time, not necessarily out of probably practice, but when they're not practicing, they're doing interviews because they have the little one-off interviews where they're narrating like what's happening, right? That's taking time from their personal time, from their rhythm, from their schedule, from doing whatever it is. It could be 20, it could be 30 minutes of them scheduling, but that throws a wrench in the entire day. And you got to think that there's got to be a little negative from it. I would like to see this if there's a stat of has a team that's ever done Hard Knocks won a Super Bowl that year. Probably not, if I had to guess. And definitely not a team that was followed during the season. Even Tom Brady, when he did Man vs. Time, which is an incredible docu-series. I mean, incredible. Like, top-notch documentary series on Facebook. It was during their stretch during the Eagles, and they lost. Now, I'm not blaming it on the documentary series, but there's just, look, you're distracted a little bit. So, look, I'm excited, bro, to get Arron Rodgers on that level, dude. Oh, give me some sugar. There's going to be so much drama. I guarantee he's going to deny every interview. I would be shocked if we saw him, even if we get a one-on-one with him. But we get Sauce. I'm sure Zach's going to be eating it up, Zach Wilson. Like, this is what we wanted. This is what the NFL knew they needed. Give us the drama. Give us the hoopla. You got a team, a Jets team, a New York team. People just love for New York to do well, even though you hate them. 90% of America hates New York, but we all want them to do well. It's like New England in the Super Bowl. We all hate it when they're there, but deep down, we know we want them there because then when they're not there, it's not as fun. You love to see the bad guy lose in the big game, in the spotlight. We want the Jets to be good. This is going to be fun.
So I have 2 predictions on this. Aaron Rodgers only does like 1 or 2 interviews during the whole Hard Knocks.
We got to do an over-under. The number's 2? Number 3. No, number's 3.
2.
Over, under 3? You're saying under.
Yeah, I think he really.
We
got
to do 2. We got to tighten that up a little bit. The number's 2. 2.5.
Okay, 2.
So it's 2.5.
2.5.
So
that's fine. So if it's like a 15-second or 20-second clip, it doesn't count.
It can't. It's got to be a one-on-one. It can't be like a
okay
chit chat, and that doesn't count because they'll pick them up. They'll pick up hot mics. I want like a. And look,
yeah,
we should be able to tell if it's one long interview. You know what I mean? Like if it's the same background, that's one interview. They just clip it up a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Right. So I won't.
Second one. Him and Sauce Gardner get into it, almost going to blows.
No way.
Oh, for sure.
You think Rodgers and Sauce go at it?
Oh, for sure.
Why so?
Oh,
I need supporting data behind this.
Because he had gotten into it with quite a few of the Packers defensive backs.
Aaron did?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of them
playing too aggressive like during practice?
No, picking him off and talking shit.
Oh. And Sauce got game though. Like so he's
okay. And he likes to talk.
Ooh. Ooh.
You know, it'd be better if Jalen Ramsey was there.
Oh.
God, could you
just
imagine?
Make the trade. Make the trade.
Do it. Do it for the TV, please.
Oh man,
dude, could you imagine Rodgers and Ramsey going at it every day?
Oh, it would be a bloodbath. I could see that a lot more. But yeah, look, man, it's gonna be a blast. I have never been so excited for Hard Knocks, and I think they realize that. I think the juice behind Hard, and we were just talking about it too. We were just saying this. I said, look, you got to go get a team that's fun to watch, that people want to watch. We just said this, and I was like, I would force them to do it at some point because you're going to lose. You said it as well. You're going to lose the excitement behind it. And we even said it. Look, it's going to lose the pizzazz because of how much insider information. We see everything now. Give us a good team. Like the Lions was cool. It was warm felt, right? It was sincere. It was good to see it. We loved it, right? Hoorah. Nobody gives a shit about that. Give me the drama, okay? I want to see.
I love it.
Yeah, I want to see Rodgers just pissed off every day, not giving a flying flippity fuck about anything, and seeing how this trade going to pay off the Jets.
It's yelling at the coach because he does.
Questioning everything. Look, how is he gonna? That's why he's pissed because is he gonna second guess everything? Because he gets torched for just pissing when the toilet seat's down, and we don't even know the toilet seat was down or not. Somebody just tweets Adam Schefter, and Adam Schefter just flings it out there, and Rodgers just gets roasted for it. Now we're gonna have video evidence. He's gonna have nothing to stand on here, or he's gonna come out and be a good guy. We'll see.
Can you? Out of all the things that Roger Goodell has truthfully fucked up, this is a hole in one. I mean, golly.
He has made up for all of his mistakes.
Absolutely.
He's bounced back here.
For sure.
I love it. Well, look, so we had another topic, but I dropped the ball. We were going to talk about the new Netflix series, which, look, let's talk about it a little bit. I didn't watch it, so I've got nothing to say about it as much as you do. About the new documentary quarterback. You already watched all 8 episodes.
Yeah.
But you're
professor. That's what I do.
Yeah, you're right about it. It was actually really cool because we talked about this show coming out, and I was like, I wasn't that excited about it. I wasn't excited to see Kirk or Mahomes really, and especially not Mariota. especially since he has no job anymore. But look, there is some things that you put in your notes that it's cool to see kind of the process of an NFL quarterback, their day-to-day life. And what pissed me off, which now I have to watch it, is you have sympathy for Mahomes' wife. Out of all of the other shit, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. You put a sentence in there, is Mahomes' wife as crazy as I used to, but after learning more about her, I get where the notion she's coming from. You better back it up good here, big guy, because that's absurd.
And you know what? I bet they have some must-see TV fights too, because she is super competitive. So her background, she was a college soccer player for girls D1 soccer. And I have a family member that was extremely good at soccer, never made it D1. Extremely good. One of the best players in the state. She was a goalie and never made it D1. It is extremely competitive because not a lot of colleges have soccer for females.
Sure.
So the colleges that do, the pool is so small, or the pool is so big for them to pick from in college in girls college soccer, because it's a very well-known sport for females to play, that they can pick kind of who they want. So I kind of get it now. I get the dynamic that they have. They're both super competitors. She had a baby during the documentary, and she was like up running around like the next day. Like she's a beast. But I do see the little craziness in her eyes, but it's not it's I think that Patrick has to have somebody like that, because she will literally put him in his place. She's like, "Oh, you ain't that great."
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It kind of
so we get
equals out his ego.
We get clips of her just being crazy. And again, like when you're super competitive, we're like that. Guys are like that. When we see a female like that, it's a little like, what's going on there? But if, she's just driven like that to be competitive, I still think you're crazy to have any sympathy. But I see your angle, and I appreciate it. I just think you're wrong. Real quick, Muddy says, if the Jags don't win it, I hope the Buccaneers win all for my dad, who sadly passed away this week. Muddy, sorry to hear that, Bubba.
Muddy.
Our prayers, man. Love you, man. Happy that you're here hanging out with us, man. Hopefully we can put a smile on your face and a song in your heart during this time, man. But much love for you, buddy. Always a long-time supporter, man. So, hey, real quick, I don't know if the guys are watching before we go. Probably not, because they're Gator fans. I'm in Gainesville this week. This the coolest shit ever that's happened to me thus far since they're starting this show. Like top 3 for sure. The wife and I go for a walk around my aunt's neighborhood to go walk the little man around, just kind of get some fresh air.
Hold on.
I can't even tell my story.
Who's in your aunt's neighborhood?
Just normal people.
Who's your neighbor?
No. This has nothing to do with this. Nothing to do with this.
Okay.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with this. So we're going for a walk, and this guy goes, "I know that ain't you, bro, walking by me, and I ain't going to say something." And I was like, "What's up?" And he's like, "Bro, no way that's you." And I was like, "What's up?" He's like, "You high top?" I was like, "Yeah, man, what's up?" He's like, "Bro, I was just listening to you, bro. I love your show." I was like, "Get that." He was like the landscape guy, I think. I go, "For real?" He goes, "Bro, hell yeah, he's you the man, baby." His name was Tony. He got a picture. He tweeted it at me. And then some other guy yells. He's like, "Are you talking to high top?" But he comes strolling over. His name's Mark. He's like, "Bro, I've been watching you since BDE. I guarantee you, I think Muddy knows about BDE, but I don't think most of these people even know what BDE is. BDE was what we were first called, which is Big Dick Energy. And we changed it like 6 months in, because I was like, marketing-wise, this isn't going to work. But yeah, so this man's been around for a while. So shout out to both of them. I don't know if they're watching. If they are, great. Not. I'll probably give them a shout out on Wednesday too, because that was just, it was really cool to be, to be recognized and to be appreciated walking down the road. I mean, I was in Gainesville, so I'm in the hot spot of probably where our podcast is being listened to, but what are the odds? So shout out to those guys for showing love, man. It's really cool. Really, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I kind of just had something like that last night. I was on a college football podcast, Hall of Fame college football podcast with Jason, and one of my very first subscribers was like, "Oh, where'd your content go? Like I was one of your very first subscribers. I really like, I really like your deal. And I told him, that I was over here, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll definitely check it out. So
Was it
shout
Lemon
out
Lime?
to Lemon Lime.
He was in here earlier.
Yeah.
You guys
Thanks,
say hey to him.
Lemon. Appreciate it.
Gainesville Green forever. Yep. Is that you, John? Was that you? That'd be kind of crazy if he's in here right now. That'd be wild. That thing was Tony. That was Tony and Mark. I don't know. Well, boys, girls, great show. And Too Legit says, yeah, glad that name didn't work out. I mean, it was a great name. I mean, let's not get it twisted.
Yeah.
That was a banger of a name. But look, you live and you learn. I'm glad we kind of had our time with it. But look, boys, let's have a good Sunday. We have a jam-packed week coming up. It's SEC Media Week, so expect us to be busy. I got a video dropping here in about 20 minutes or so, 10 to 15 minutes, kind of like a little, a news story dropping. But a lot of content will be coming out this week. Obviously, we're going live Wednesday, so be tuned in for that, 8:35. Turn the bell on. But until then, you guys have a great rest of your week. Until next time, I'm Sheldon.
And I'm Cody, the professor.
Boogity, boogie, boogie, boys. See you guys.
Of my chest, I'll never forget what it's like to be in debt. Been stabbed in the back bed, I'll show you what happens. Pass me the mic and I'll show you with action. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own. I feel this pain.